Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a glorious day. Look at this, a beautiful Bulova watch, sent to me by Tim from the West. No, not from Yeovil. Even further west, much, much further west. Yes, it's the land of the free and home of truck nuts. It's the United States of America. Home not only for Tim, but also the birthplace of Bulova watches. It needs some help. It's not running at the moment, and the quick date set isn't working either. Let's get it out of the case, hands and dial off, and see what we can do. The Bulova Watch Company is a wonderfully American story. The J. Bulova Company was founded in 1875 by Joseph Bulova, an immigrant to New York City from Bohemia. Initially a jewelry company, Joseph soon included watches and clocks in his shop. With the introduction of early wristwatches, Bulova began to focus more on timepieces, and in 1923 the company was renamed Bulova Watch Company, reflecting this change of direction. Bulova launched its first radio advertisement with the memorable line, "At the tone, it's 8 o'clock, Bulova Watch Time," pioneering the use of electronic media in advertising. And with the advent of television, Bulova created the first TV advertisement in 1941.
America runs on Bulova time.
Bulova's innovation didn't stop at the use of new media. They developed the first electric clocks in the 1930s, and in the 1950s produced the world's first fully electronic watch, the famous Accutron. As for so many watch companies, the 1970s hit hard, but Bulova have left us a marvelous legacy of watches and innovation, and rightly hold a seat at the top table in the Horological Hall of Fame. US Steel must have been producing a surplus the year this watch was made. The movement ring seems to have been made to withstand bomb blasts and whatnot. This pusher is to increment the date pointer. It's used when a month has less than 31 days. The day wheel can only be incremented by moving the hands past midnight. Hands off now. Being very careful. The patina on the dial is this watch's best feature. There's so much muck and debris falling out of this watch. Not a surprise it's not running. Really want to get this dial off and safely stored. Then we can relax a bit more. We could remove the automatic winding works as a module and disassemble it later, but it's easier to do it with the movement held in the holder. Although I've not worked on this particular movement before, this layout is very common among early bidirectional winding movements, so it feels quite familiar. Reversing wheels are showing somewhere, but aren't too bad. Let's hope for another 70 years out of them. This screw is very loose and there's fine metal shavings around it. Bit worrying. Let's see how we go. Okay, nothing too horrific. Let's get the balance out and safe too. Using this brass persuader where I can, it's much softer than a steel screwdriver and protects the movement. This watch is fully wound and absolutely no power is reaching the escape wheel. Fingers crossed, it's just filth and contamination, not something more nasty. Completely fully wound will let all of that power go. Over to the dial side now. When working on a new movement, it's always worth spending a few minutes working out exactly how it works before diving in with the tools. Date jumper here, so the other one is for the day wheel. And this is the date quick set pusher. Okay, let's go. Date wheel and then jumpers off first. If you have a watch that needs repairing or servicing, check out the Gentleman's Watch Services website link in the description. Every service comes with a free short video showcasing your watch's movement and showing some key parts of the work done. Every month, one of the serviced watches will feature in a full-length video. This month, it's Tim's Bulova. Just check the screws for the calendar plate are all the same. They are. Date corrector pusher and date corrector pusher spring next. Date setting wheel is in two parts, so when you need to move forward more than one day, you can move the hands back and forth between 9 p.m. and midnight. Hour wheel off, then we shall remove the setting lever spring to access the remaining keyless and motion work. The yoke spring has a dog leg in it. Looks like the foot hits the main plate when in hand setting mode. I guess that is to protect the movement from over-enthusiastic yanking on the crown. Clutch and winding pinion can come out now. Intermediate wheel and minute wheel can join the gang in the parts tray too. And it is time for the impressively long cannon pinion to get acquainted with the Presto tool. On this side, we shall start with the pallet fork. Previous watchmaker has oiled the pallet pivots. Quite common to find this. While there are arguably 1,000 ways to lubricate a watch correctly, not one of them involves oil on the pallet pivots. Putting a little force on the barrel, at least something is happening to the escape wheel. All hope is not lost. Ratchet wheel off, checking how much wear there is on the main plate. It's exceptionally small. Things are looking up. Crown wheel and its ring are on their way now. Click and click spring away before we remove the barrel bridge. But look at this. A dusting of ground up metal all over the place. It seems to be centered around the hole for that loose screw we found on the automatic works. First things first, we need to get rid of this before any of these parts go near the cleaning machine. Don't want to contaminate everything with metal filing. Work your sweet magic, Rodikov. We'll still need to wash these parts manually before going to the machine, though. Mainspring barrel up. There's something unusual going on with that too. We'll see it later. Setting lever screw, the most forgettable part in watchmaking. Gear train still locked up. What shall we find under the bridge? Broken pivots, missing teeth, mayhem and destruction. Hold on to your hats. 3, 2, 1, go. It's parts inspection time. Probably better not to show the whole process because man stares at every tooth on every gear wheel one by one. Isn't top-notch YouTube content. But I can report the findings of my expert analysis as to what was stopping the watch. The answer is, hope you're ready for this. The answer is, I have no idea. Everything looked okay. Probably just a tiny bit of something in the wrong place. Onwards! What does it say on the mainspring barrel? Bulova sealed lifetime power, do not open. What secrets lie hidden within? It may be 70 years after the event, but it's never too late to stick it to the man. We're going in anyway. And it's mainspring and arbor, just like any other mainspring and arbor. Just 4 more parts to be removed. The balance wheel cap jewels and shatums. And while we're at it, the balance can be reinstalled, ready for a spin around in the cleaning machine. While the rest of the movement is getting machine cleaned, it's manual labor on the balanced jewels. That is right on the borderline of too much bloody oil. Let's see how it looks with the shutter in place. Oh, that's fine, panic over. And we do the same to the other jewel too. Now that everything is clean and minty fresh, the first job, as ever, cap jewels back in place. Automatic movement, so that means breaking grease on the barrel wall. Not too much, not too little. Don't know if you noticed, I didn't straight away, but this watch has a manual mainspring with a separate bridle that allows it to slip when fully wound. So we need to get the bridle in before we fit the spring. And that is why most people don't wear finger cots when manually fitting a mainspring, but it's okay for this little bridle. The mainspring has been cleaned and lightly greased. It will now take a trip in a right-handed mainspring winder. The first part is easy, but I won't talk while carefully getting the mainspring hook into the winder. I need absolute undisturbed silence so I can concentrate and not ruin the spring. Bloody dog, bloody barking at the bloody birds again. He takes exception to them overflying what he sees as his airspace. Reversing the direction of the arbor loosens the grip on the spring and helps with removal, but we have to be very careful. I heard that a mainspring uncoils at the same speed as a rifle bullet. Good luck, everybody. And we're clear. Always double check, triple check that the arbor has engaged with the mainspring. My friend didn't once, and he didn't find out until the watch was all together. I bet he was really upset about that, and he's learned his lesson and always checks now. A little HP 1300 on the arbor, and we can reseal the barrel for another lifetime. And another critical check, if the arbor has been pinched by the barrel lid, the watch won't run well, or maybe not at all. Escape wheel is in, and now the fourth wheel with its long pivot that the little second hand sits on. Third wheel is in. A little lubrication on the second wheel lower pivot. Train of wheels bridge, gentle touches to get the pivots in place. Look at that. Already looking much better than it was. Excellent. Let's get the bridge screwed down. Setting lever screw next. Is it wrong to feel emotions towards watch parts? I really dislike setting lever screws. Horrible little chaps. Always causing problems. Obviously the barrel bridge is next. Some oil where the barrel arbor touches the bridge, on the click pivot and on the crown wheel ring. Also some grease where the crown wheel has been rubbing on the bridge. And some more oil where the click interacts with its screw. The convention is that 3 slots in screw heads means reverse threaded, but most watch companies don't bother with that. They expect us to just know. Ratchet wheel is looking good. Returning to emotions about watch parts, the escape wheel and pallet fork are my favourite components. A clockmaker from 800 years ago could be shown these and he'd immediately recognise the parts and know what they do. Shall we put an impossibly small drop of 1950's grease on a 0.2mm wide jewel, you ask? I say indubitably we shall. We repeat this 3 times looking to see a nice smear of grease transferred to the exit jewel. Lovely, let's move forward with the assembly. Balance wheel in to check the progress. That really is most gratifying. This old gentleman may be 70 years old, but he's still got some vim and vigour. Automatic bottom plate is on its way into position. I must apologise here. I forgot to turn on the cameras when I lubricated the train of wheels. You'll have to just take my word that it was an absolute masterclass in the application of fine oils. The screw that was loose and had all the metal dust around it has gone in fine and solid. What exactly happened there will have to remain a mystery. Reduction gear in first. This takes the motion from the reversing wheels and turns it into low-speed, high-torque movement to wind the mainspring via the winding wheel. Winding wheel in and onto the reversing wheels. Cunning pieces of engineering that doubled the energy that could be recovered from the rotor. A little oil on these springs and it's in with the reversers. These springs keep the ratchet teeth in the reversing wheels engaged. With the automatic works top plate back where it belongs, we can get stuck into the keyless and motion works. Don't be fooled by that massive daub of grease. We're putting tiny dots onto the winding pinion. The identical lubrication regime for the clutch. And now the stem. Different part, same story. Yoke spring next, another dangerous part. A good friend of mine took a yoke spring in the knee in 1982 and he still walks with a limp. Clear. We'll prepare the various posts for the parts about to be visited on them. Here we go. Intermediate wheel, cannon pinion, and of course the minute wheel. Engage the setting lever spring with a satisfying click. What you are witnessing here is, in watchmaking jargon, a huge, bloody massive cock-up. Let's see how long it takes me to notice. Anyway, we've installed the hour wheel and calendar setting wheel. Calendar plate drops on. Date corrector spring. Getting extra shaky now. Definitely time for a tea and crumpet break. Date corrector is in. Let's work that grease. Day jumper and date jumper can reacquaint themselves with the movement. Date wheel, the date hand sits on this. And here's the answer to how long it took to realize the calendar setting wheel was put in upside down. Well done if you spotted that at home. Not too bad to fix, just the 3 screws for the calendar plate and we're done. That's better, we have a functioning calendar mechanism. Day wheel checking it's engaged with its jumper. That beautiful dial next. I have fitted the hands with the hand pusher tool off camera, but here's a consolation of seeing the second hand go on. We're back in the case. Just the rotor to go back on and assembly is done. By the way, if you would like one of your watches repaired or serviced, check out the link to the Gentleman's Watch Services website in the description. Automatic works are looking good. We'll let the oil settle before checking performance on the time graph for tomorrow. Good morning. Today is now, tomorrow. So how did we do? This is looking better than we could have hoped. Well done, Bulova. And of course, let's take a look at the vertical. Not too shabby at all. Tim, the watch is heading back to Michigan right now. It's a lovely thing. Hope you keep it for many years.